Will my parents ever change? Now, I'm pretty sure most of us has asked this question to ourselves at some point in our lives. And it makes sense. When we're working on ourselves and working on uncovering ingrained toxic patterns, reparenting ourselves, and working really hard to break out of generational unhealthy family patterns, we end up feeling like, hey, maybe that now I have all of this new information about why I am the way I am and why my parents are the way they are. We can sort of work on this relationship and I can kind of help the relationship be less strained and maybe we can become closer as a family unit. And so you sit them down and you have a conversation with them and you explain all of the new things that you've learned and how it's not their fault and how, all these new things and how they behave and how you behave. And it ends up being just a complete mess. They get defensive, they get angry, they get sad, they guilt trip you, and they just shut you out. So you think to yourself, maybe it's just I'm not very tactful with my words. And you go for a second time, a third time, a fourth time. And then you realize nothing's happening. Like it's just getting worse, actually. What's the point? What's going on? Will they ever change? Now, the hard truth is most likely not. Right? And your best bet for growing the relationship is actually setting some boundaries, keeping the conversations light and away from trigger points, and honestly just lowering your expectation for what the relationship can be. I know it's not the best thing to hear. It's kind of gloomy and kind of sad, but I do have a perspective that can help in sort of alleviating the sadness of the fact that they can't change or they won't change. And this perspective is just think about how different our lives are compared to our parents' lives. And I really want you to think about it. We are in a unique time in history. Our lives are so much more different to our parents than our parents' lives to their parents' lives, and our grandparents' lives to their parents' lives, and so on and so forth. The difference between our lives and our parents' life is the biggest difference. And that's actually because of how interconnected we are. Think about it. Right now, you are watching me on YouTube. You can search, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling anxious. And you can find forums and videos and articles all about that, explaining what you could do about it, and or people sharing the same experience. You can learn anything you want. And you are essentially connected to different cultures, different worlds, anything and everything you want. Now think about our parents. If they had a question, they just asked the people around them. They either knew or they did not know. And a lot of times people thought they knew and they would give, answers that aren't even real. And we won't be able to fact check that. So it's all about community. And you don't really have time to sort of learn a lot of new things outside of the community and the culture that you have. Now, seriously, think about that. How crazy that is. Even with the fact that I grew up with the internet, I only knew that I had anxiety, and I knew what the word anxiety was when I was 18 years old. So it makes a lot of sense when we start bringing up all of these new concepts to our parents who are in their 50s, 60s, 70s. They are just confused by it, or just like, this is, I've made it through most of my life. I've lived through most of my life without ever hearing that word. Now you want to talk about generational trauma and family patterns and all of that. It's just not going to make too much sense to them. Right now, we are in a time where we have the ability to do self-exploration, and that is a big, big deal. Back then, there's no time to sit down and think, who am I and what do I want to be and how do I feel? You have to just do your work, go to work, get a job, have kids, have a family, survive and fit the role that you're supposed to do as your mom has done or your father has done and your grandparents have done, and the role that has been done and fit for you for generations, and it's been there for a long, long time. We are the first people in our time to kind of say, hey, this does not make sense, because we have the opportunity to sit down and say, hey, this makes no sense, because we observe, we have so much more information to make better decisions, better and more educated decisions. So we have the ability to look within and explore within and ask why we are the way we are and why we are, anxious or feeling, insecure and angry or sad too often. We can ask these questions. And so when you don't have that for the majority of your life, to have someone introduce these concepts to you, it's going to be really, really difficult, which is why I say, for the most part, most families, most parents who are like that, tend not to change. And honestly, if you sit and think about this, you'll find that you feel so much better with accepting the fact that your parents are not going to change, because suddenly it comes from a place of understanding and empathy that, hey, it's not like they're against you and they hate you and they don't want to change because they genuinely don't like you as a person and don't care about your well-being. It is actually because, for the most part, for most families, for most parents who are in this predicament, they've never had the opportunity to look within themselves. It's all about just turning that side off and doing things that you're supposed to. So honestly, guys, just sit down and think a little bit about how it was like living life as your parents. And it really does kind of put things into perspective and remove a lot of that weight on sadness that comes with thinking, oh my goodness, this might not ever change. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And for those who like to work one-on-one with me, I have finally opened up my booking calendar for the next 1 week. I know I've been unavailable for quite some time and a lot of you have been reaching out to me. But for the next 1 week, you can book in a slot with me and we can have a short chat to see if working one-on-one would work well together. I'm looking forward to getting to know you, and I will see you guys in the next video.